This is Mrs. DeVita here giving you a lesson on Zentangling. Today I'm going to show you how I Zentangle. I really enjoy Zentangling. It's something that you can do just creating any pattern you want. It can be really relaxing. I do have some suggestions for patterns that you can use, and I sort of broke them down into easy, medium, and hard. So I will post these. These are worksheets that I made with finding different Zentangles online, and then I separated them. And today I'm just going to show you some tips and tricks on how to actually make them look really good. So up at the top, I have named the Zentangles that I'm going to use. They are from the easy section of this sheet, and I'm going to show you what not to do and what to do instead. So the first thing that is really important about Zentangles is you have to do it really slowly. Take your time, focus on what you're doing. If you feel yourself getting distracted, it might be a good time to stop and take a break. So right here is the waves pattern that I'm going to copy. For example, if you're going really fast, you'll see what will happen if you go really fast. So if I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna draw these lines like that, those are the lines going down, and then, oh, it looks like there's a bunch of curved lines going across. I'll just do that. Lines going across, they're curved, you know. So I see a lot of this where you try to pump out the pattern as fast as you possibly can. I'm going to show you, if I take my time, I would draw the first line, and you'll see that you get a nice consistent line. So I'm going to do my second line, and I'm going to make sure that I'm following the first line really closely. So already you can see that looks a lot different than this one. My first squiggle, I didn't really care where the second squiggle was in relation to it, but I'm really making sure to follow that first squiggle. Again, I'm going to make sure that the line is kind of going in the same wave that the first one was, just because it looks a little bit more consistent. The other thing I didn't do is I didn't really pay attention to what this Zentangle was doing. So here I just drew some curved lines, but in this one, these lines are going down and these lines are going up. So these curve down, these curve up. So I'm going to now reflect that in my slow, careful Zentangle. Okay, so I haven't even finished yet, and you can already tell that I have taken a lot more time in drawing this one. You want to show really good line quality. So all that means is, you know, when you look at these lines, they're overlapping where they shouldn't be. They're skinnier over here or skinnier over here and fatter over here because I drew them so quickly. You want to make sure that when you draw two lines next to each other, in most patterns, you want them to be as equal as possible. So when I draw my first line like that, my second line, it should be about that distance apart the entire way. So for example, over here in this one, I started really far apart over here, and then they get really close together over there. And that doesn't really show a pattern, because a pattern is the same the whole way through. So I'm just going to finish this. Okay, and so now you can see an example of when your Zentangle looks really nice and you did it really carefully versus what you really wouldn't want to do, which would be rush through it. So I'm going to do a swarm, which is this one. So this swarm, sometimes when you're Zentangling, you need to look at the whole pattern and really look at it and think about how you're going to draw it before you start. This one it's sort of like a basket weave, but you can't really see the outside of the triangle. The outside of the triangle isn't drawn. The triangles are created by having a long line and then shorter lines consecutively on top of it. What you can do is you can draw with a pencil the general shape. So maybe if you want to draw triangles all over the place. If that will help you, just like stay in the lines, you can do that. So there's my guidelines, and I'm not going to outline those. They're just there for me to see where I might want to contain my triangles. So that was when I used guiding lines with pencils. Now I'm able to erase them. And now I'll just do it really quick so you can see what happens if I try to do it without those guiding lines. So that's just an example of why having some pencil guiding lines can help you, and using the Sharpie on top of that will make it so it's easy to erase the pencil lines. Okay, and I just wanted to speed this one up a bit. So for the last one, I did this mist. So take a good look at the reference doodle here, and you will see that the lines are all really carefully drawn. It has some that are longer, some that are shorter, and all these dots are in nice little lines going down from the top. So I have done, again, an example of what I see a lot of people do is they just add squiggles. Oh, I can draw squiggles, I'll just put a bunch of squiggles at the top of the page, but they don't pay attention to what they're doing. And then again, the dots at the bottom, oh look, there's dots, let's just put dots wherever we want. But that is not what this original pattern is showing. It's showing, you know, again, really nice line quality, careful dotting. They're staying in a nice line. Over here, I did sort of show if you want to kind of put them into waves. I see a lot of people try to do that, but you have to be really careful to make it look good and not just end up looking like this. So I hope that this was helpful for you to see how much fun Zentangling can be and how you can do it really well. So just remember that the 3 rules about Zentangling are: number 1, go really slow, look at what you're doing, take your time. Number 2 is make sure that you have really good line quality. So don't let lines overlap when they're next to each other and they're not supposed to be getting closer together. Make sure that they're staying equidistant apart. And number 3 is use guiding lines if you need to use them. So throughout this tutorial, I was using a Sharpie, but you can use any ink pen, you can use a ballpoint pen, you can even use a colored marker if you want. And if you don't have any of those things and you have to use a pencil, that's totally fine. You can do all this with a pencil, you just might not be able to erase guiding lines after, but you can draw really lightly so you don't see the guiding lines, and then draw darker with the pencil as you're doing the designs. So my assignment for all of you out there is to create 6 squares just like this on a piece of paper. They can be about this size, or you can make them bigger. As you can see, I left room on the paper to have this at the bottom, and you don't have to have that. So create 6 squares and choose from the patterns that I will be posting alongside this video, or you can Google any pattern that you want and have fun with it. There are so many patterns that you can find online. And just try to fill the 6 squares with 6 different Zentangle patterns. You can do more boxes than 6 and use the first few as practice, and then just choose 6 that you really want to be your final Zentangles to show off the best Zentangles that you have made. Okay, everybody, I hope you are having a great week, and I hope you have some fun with Zentangling now.